You know, in personal development, how people always talk about, you got to know your why. You have to know your why. You have to know why you're doing something. If you don't know your why, you're not going to be motivated. Okay, yeah, that's true. So, no pun intended, why is that? What is it about the why? Well, here it is explained by a psychologist. The brain's job is to protect the body, right? And the brain and the entire structure. And so when an event occurs, the brain automatically asks itself this question: why must I suffer? This is in the case of an event where there's some kind of pushing, some kind of pain involved. Like you're trying to lose weight and you're hungry, or you're craving your favorite food, or you're working out, let's say, and you are pushing past your limits. And your brain is asking yourself, why must I suffer? Why are you putting me in pain? Is this worth it? What's the reason for it? And if there's no good reason, the brain will either consciously or subconsciously shut down the activity. Why do you think so many people fail on diets? Because either consciously or subconsciously, you can't figure out if it's worth it or not. Why must I suffer? Well, because I thought I might want to lose a few pounds, but the food is really good. And so, boom, person goes off the diet, person stops working out or lowers the weight or whatever it possibly is. Or maybe building a business, right? A lot of people are entrepreneurs, that read my books anyway, and they're building a business and it's tough. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of struggle that goes along if you're an entrepreneur. I think you probably know this as well as I do. 35 years being an entrepreneur. There's a lot of pain and suffering that goes with it, psychologically, emotionally. And then there are other kinds of pain, but psychological emotional pain is the specialty of the brain, and it normally will shut us down. If we don't do it consciously, it will unconsciously go around us and give us a reason to stop the pain. Unless the why is so prevalent, so fixed in the mind, so clear, so vivid, that the brain says, why must I suffer? And the brain says back to itself, because of this goal, because this is the biggest thing, because this is so important to the family, so this is so important to me, because this is what I'm supposed to do, this is my destiny, fill in the blank. And all of a sudden the brain goes, okay, continue. You have to know the why to shut down the brain and keep it from shutting you down. Because make no mistake, ask any psychiatrist, any psychologist, and they'll tell you the same thing. If you don't shut it down consciously, the brain will find a way to do it unconsciously. Not because it's anything nefarious. It's because it's trying to protect you. It's protecting you from unnecessary pain. And so it shuts us down. Again, most of it's probably unconscious. And that's why, self-sabotage takes place. You've heard about that. It might happen to you, I'm not sure. But, that we all do that at some level because the brain is crafty. It's genius. It's brilliant. And it will find a way to shut us down because it's trying to protect us from the pain. So what's the lesson? Well, the lesson really for all of us is once you understand how, the mind works at the basic level, that's really all we're talking about. But it's all we really need to know. Once you understand how it works, then you say, okay, well, then my why has to be extremely vivid. Think of the why as an emotional business plan. If you've ever started a business, hopefully you've written a business plan. A lot of people haven't, surprisingly, at least people that I've met in seminars over the years, which is really not very bright. You want to write a business plan. It doesn't have to be 85 pages. Doesn't mean you have to seek financing in the process. But writing a business plan is a really, really good idea for more than one reason. The biggest reason, most common reason people write business plans is so they can get funding. But the better reason, honestly, to write a business plan is for clarity. Because what you're doing is you're laying everything out in detail. It's forcing you to answer questions that effectively are painful because you really don't know the answers because you're speculating. What a profit's going to be in the third quarter of the second year. How do I know? I haven't started this business before. Well, if you had to guess, what would you guess? Well, I'm not sure. Well, guess again. Try. Be sure. Take a stab at it. Why? It pushes you. It pushes you to clarify what you're going for, what you're going after, what the business will be about, what the product will be about. Every single detail. And it's not that fun. I've written a lot of them over the years, like a lot of people have. It's not that fun. but it is priceless when you're building a business. Okay, so the why, effectively, I call it the vision, writing a vision out. Other people call it that, the why, basically. And this is what I want my life to look like when I achieve this goal, whether, whatever that is. Let's say it's building a business. And so now the vision becomes the heart of, the why becomes the heart of the vision. So once it's really clear, as soon as the pain kicks in, and of course the pain will kick in. And again, if you've been an entrepreneur for more than 5 minutes, you know what the pain is, okay? And typically it's the pain of uncertainty. It's the pain of self-doubt. It's the pain of other people telling you can't do it. It's the pain of failure, In the beginning, it's the pain of embarrassment when you fail because you're not used to being embarrassed. Well, after a while, if you're an entrepreneur for 10 years and you failed enough times, embarrassment doesn't even really affect you. You're so used to being embarrassed when you fail that you're no longer embarrassed. You desensitize from embarrassment because you desensitize from it. It's just been so long, it doesn't matter anymore to you. Your ego sort of goes away, and it's the best thing that could possibly happen. So there is pain obviously involved in the process, but if you're really clear about what you want and why you want it, this is for you, it's not for other people, then the brain becomes very clear because make no mistake, all of us have moments of weakness, no matter how mentally tough we might be or not be. We have these moments of weakness where we think, geez, how much can I take here? How much is it really worth it? We all go through those things. I don't care if you're a startup or you're a billionaire. I've interviewed over 300 billionaires. Let me tell you, they have the same self-doubt we do. It's just that, they've had more success, of course, and so they have that to fall back on and use as a touchstone for their confidence. But at the same time, they do doubt themselves at some level, and a lot of times they have more to lose than we do because they've got a lot more money. And they got a lot more money in the game typically than we do because they have more of it. But if you have this clarity in your mind, okay, and you have the why, and you know exactly, and I mean drilling down, I mean, why do you really want it? And you say, well, I just want it. Who wouldn't want to have more money, financial independence, let's say. Okay, why do you want financial independence? Well, so I don't have to worry about money. Tell me more about that. This is what you do with yourself or with a partner if you have a business partner. Drill down. Keep asking why. Be a parrot. Don't just settle for the surface answer. Go deep. Why? Because when you're in a moment of weakness, you're going to quit if you don't have the reason. Because the brain is going to say, why must I suffer? And if the answer isn't right, it's going to get you consciously, or it's going to go around you, underneath you, and it's going to get you subconsciously or unconsciously. Okay, so why do you want to be financial? Well, I don't want to worry. Is that the only reason? No, I want to live in a big house. So why do you want to live in a big house? Well, I don't know. It's better than a small house. Why is that better? Why is a big house better than a small house? Well, I've never lived in a big house. I think that maybe it'd be more fun. It's more prestigious. There's more status. So tell me about that. Well, people have been telling me I couldn't do it my whole life. And if I had a big house or a big fancy car or red bottom shoes or some fancy diamond ring or, whatever, well, then I'd effectively have proved them wrong. Tell me more about that. Well, you know what? When people tell you can't see what I'm doing, you dig down. You facilitate the introspective process, either with yourself or have someone else do it with you. But what you end up with the end, and it can be painful at first because it's deep. And most of these questions we've never asked ourselves before. But this is what performance psychology is all about. It's about digging down deep and getting mental clarity to the point where you wake up in the morning and you know exactly what you're going to do, and more importantly, exactly why you're going to do it. And when you get to that point, you become a force of nature. You become unstoppable at some level. Because every time the brain says, why must I suffer? You've got the answer, and you don't even have to pause to answer the question. It may even be asked unconsciously or subconsciously, and you don't even have to ask. It's like a business plan. What's the nature of your business? You're at a bank and they say, I want a loan, I want to borrow $1 million, whatever. And the banker says, well, what is your business and what are the details? You go, boom, and you hand him a 50 or 60 or 70-page business plan, and he goes, wow, I see you've done your homework. Think of the banker like your brain for the why. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, this person's obviously a professional. This is someone who knows what they're doing. This is not some goofball. This is someone who's taken the time to succeed, to plan for success. And most people don't do that, but the ones that do, watch out. That's why the why is so important.